All right, so I finally got to the first step of rebuilding and reconstruction, because the first part of the procedure is to do any repairs, disassemble, and in this case, disassemble a whole bunch of things, get the drive shaft out of the transmission, differential PDL, get to the parts, get bolts out, get stuff out of the way like that fuel tank. And so you got to do a lot of deconstruction before you can begin construction. And you got to order parts, and here are my parts. So I bought this is a 1409 MLL. I got it from this place, Lang Isles. And the transmission here cost me $1,500. Now, with the other transmission, the 13-speed, I didn't have as much reduction as that MLL. And I'm just noticing, looks like the yoke is a bit longer on this one, and it's a bit shorter on this one. Well, we'll see. Maybe the interchange, I don't know. But at least now I've got the parts. And by the way, the MLL, as well as the ALL, these are extreme reduction transmissions. So the 13-speed has deep reduction as well as the 15-speed. And although people say that the 15-speed has deep reduction, if you check the numbers on the Eaton website, they're actually the same as the 13-speed, at least on the numbers they're showing there. So if you have a 13-speed or a 15, it doesn't really matter in terms of deep reduction. You get a few more speeds in deep reduction with the 15, but the deepest of the deep reduction is the same. Now this has about twice the reduction from what I understand. So this was used on concrete trucks and for spreading gravel, which is exactly what I need. So this has actually got a reduction ratio of 26:1, whereas the 13-speed and the 15-speeds have a ratio of around 14, depending on the transmission. I think all the 13 speeds have a ratio of 12.33, if I'm not mistaken, but it's around there. So this should get me quite a bit more reduction. And I was talking to the guy, and he said that sometimes they'd actually sell the transmissions with a lower torque rating than the engine. So what could happen is the engine destroys the transmission, which was not my case. So in my case, the main transmission was fine. It's perfectly new. It looks like brand new. Looks like it was never used. But because of the loss of air pressure that I had, it caused the cylinder to disengage at the wrong time, at a worse time. So I have something broken on the auxiliary. So we'll disassemble that when I have time and check. But it's actually cheaper to just buy a whole new core transmission. So either I'd have two other options. I'd get it rebuilt, pay somebody to rebuild it, which would cost probably about three times more than this. Or I try to look for individual parts, which is kind of becoming scarce, and the addition of the parts, you're better off just buying a core. It ends up being the same price or even more expensive. So this transmission cost me $1,500, but I also liked to go ahead. I wanted to go ahead and get the extreme reduction because I'm using the truck kind of off-road, and the place where I get gravel, there's a a very inclined hill. And even in deep reduction, with the 13-speed, it was still pretty, killing the truck pretty much. So we should have no problem now with this. And they also had a stop sign right at the top of the hill. So It couldn't get any worse. So for $1,500, it's about a week and a half of my wages. I got $1,000 for a week. But okay, let's say that's probably a bit low. I just did that because I wanted to get some help from the guy too. And well, it's a reasonably cheap wage, but that's about somebody makes $6,000 a month. That's about a week worth of work. But I want to, I'm not playing around here, so I got to get something that I can really trust. And that 13 speed is just not really suitable for this area. I think, from the theory that I've seen and the practical, I haven't driven this, but it says that the ratio is 26:1. So the truck should be able to go up a steep hill while it's idling at full load and not have any problems. And that just wasn't happening with the 13 speed. But the main thing that I had to buy was this here, and it looks like a big ball of rust, I know. And it is very, very corroded, that's for sure. And this is the differential set. This is an RA474, Dana International, or Dana/International 46,000 pound axle. I think it's also called the W203S or something like that. Not sure, but I know it's for sure the actual name is RA474, and that's what they called it at the place. And these guys at the junkyard, the Langile place, and you can see they just, I guess the axle itself has no value. They just torch it, just cut it in half here. Just cut off the middle part, and so not even the spokes. I don't know if they sell the spokes or not, but and I should hopefully have my parts for my PDL here. Now inside there was a lot of oil, so that's a good thing. But with all this heat and junk that they sprayed inside, you can't really, if you're trying to get use the differential, you can't really just use it. You have to disassemble the whole thing and clean it up, and because you don't want to use it with all this molten steel inside there. But anyways, we don't need this part. We just need what's inside. We just need the gears. And it's not looking too bad, but I mean, it's got some pretty heavy rust here. And the face here. So this housing, I actually need this one, because you can see the old one, there's so much torque in there that it actually cracked the housing itself. There you can see the cracks there. There and there. So you can see this one was looking nice. As you can see, the top filler plug on this one was nice and clean, and on this one that's gonna be a pain to remove. I don't even know if we can remove that. Might just have to drill a hole and tap that. I don't know. And then I'm gonna have to try to get these bolts off, and some of them are, again, pretty corroded, pretty nasty. At least it turns. Thing is, or worst case scenario, I might as well. I'm gonna look for a housing. Maybe they'll sell just the housing. Maybe I can find just that separate part. And because I don't like putting something full of rust like that. But I'll put it in if I have to. Over here you can see that they actually just torched, like they didn't even bother saving the U-joints. They could have torched this, cut this a little bit lower, like right here, and so that you'd at least have the U-joint. So on this one they did save the U-joint. That side too, the yoke. And so for the set, this big chunk of rust here, I actually had to spend. This actually cost me another $1,500. So all in all, $3,000 plus tax took me to about $3,400. It's a lot of money, but the guy there actually had the same truck as mine, the exact same truck, and he was selling it for $15,000. Considering that I bought this for $7,000, and I'm spending $3,000 plus labor, wasn't a bad deal at all. And this truck is in much better shape than the one he has, except for the transmission and the PDL. So I could actually check the ratios of these differentials. I'm gonna check it anyways, but I could actually change them. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna use the PDL part, and then I can keep these differentials as spares. And they also added threw in some axles for me right here. They gave me 3 axles or 4. Yeah, so they gave me 4 axles. So I've got 2 sets of spare axles. So that was nice. And I actually have the clutch brake here. So I was gonna have to replace that. Looks like I can keep it. I can use this one here. I will have to replace that face on that throwout bearing. So my next step is I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night if I just throw this on the truck as is. That's just not gonna happen. I can't do that. So I am gonna disassemble these. Now this transmission, I'll just open her up here. See how it's going. Where's my shifter, by the way? Here's the shift stick. So apparently these shift sticks all interchange as long as these bolts match. But I just went ahead and I grabbed kind of a random one. I looked for one that had the knob or the button on the side. We'll see. It's a part to have. The guy said I could take one. Don't know for sure if it'll fit here. We'll find out. So I am gonna remove the plate, see what it's looking like inside. So you can't do that on the main, and you can't really do that on the auxiliary. So in all likelihood, I'm gonna disassemble this as well. Shouldn't be too difficult, and check it. Or I might just remove the combination cylinder and just inspect it from here. Maybe take a look, get those two. I don't want to go too crazy on the transmission. And by the way, this is how you identify the 11-speed or the MLLs, which have the extreme reduction. So they've got the combination cylinder. So as you can see, there's 2 cylinders here, and you can also see from the pipes. Whereas the 13-speed and the 15-speed, they've got separate cylinders. So one is here, and the other one is there. In addition to this middle part being a lot wider. So as you can see, it's very wide. There's my pawn there for you to have an idea. And as you can see on the 13-speed, that's much more narrow. It comes like up to here maybe. I'll have to see if the yokes will interchange. I hope I don't have to get another yoke. If I have to, I know that place they'll have it. They'll have the parts. At least they have the parts that I needed. But this was the last RA474 differential that they had there. And the guy thought they had like 10 sets, but Turns out, looks like this one was the last one. Now, the differential here, there's no way I can just put it on. I have to disassemble the whole thing, everything, the gears, everything. And I can't live with that rust there. I'll have to. There's probably going to be bolts that break off in there. And I'll probably use the housing from the old PDL because it's fine. At least this part and this part. This one I'll have to use from this one, like I said. But I really have to disassemble the whole thing. And I want to take pictures and see if I can get part numbers off of individual parts. Because it does seem like the PDL is the weak link of the of this truck. So since the old one disintegrated, I've got no idea of what it looked like. I mean, I've got an idea of what it looked like, but I've got no measurements, no part numbers, and I don't like being in the dark like that. And I have to disassemble it anyways because I don't know how much of that junk got in there. And I'm taking no chances, 0 chances. And I like to do a good job. So I'll get it painted, maybe sandblasted, do the works, get it, so that I can sleep at night. So at least today was the first step forward. It was nice that I had the ability to hook up the winch or the hoist. Right up there, that's a 1-ton hoist, and this lifted this up like pretty easily. So this transmission weighs about, I am going to have to change the motor mounts on the engine as well because they're completely gone, and that's kind of bad. But at least now I've got some parts here, and I'm going to be able to do some serious work. And this transmission looks like it was in fairly good shape because it's still got the paint and everything in it. And here's the tag. Oh, maybe it was interesting. 2012. I guess it was rebuilt. Must have been rebuilt. This is not the transmission tag. The transmission tag should be here. So the next step will be to power wash this, take a look inside it. I'm going to replace some of these bolts with stainless because I hate rust, and I know if I leave these bolts on, they're going to be a pain in the ass later. I got to figure out the mounts. So it looks like this one has actually like flathead screws here. The other one has broke. The old transmission, these bolts were broken off, so they actually made a bracket and bolted it here. So that transmission must have been replaced at some point. So this torque rating of 14 or 1400 foot-pounds should be more than enough. So I shouldn't worry about the transmission, and I'm going to get the deep reduction, the extreme reduction that I want. What else? So I did spend quite a bit of money, but $3,000, I could have bought a nice car with that kind of money. So I bought junk. What looks like junk. But at least I'll have a spare differential, and maybe I'll slowly I'll look into rebuilding that 13-speed and probably sell it. Maybe sell it as is, or I won't get much money for that. So I'll try to rebuild it. What else? What else? And yeah, this is where we're headed.